The stochastic fiction game. This is a writing game. I give myself a time. Give myself 1 hour and 31 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and create the stochastic fiction outline. It is a Python script. I will execute that script. I do have to remember where I have the source for it. It has moved locations. And there we go. We just outputted that stochastic fiction outline with that script. I'm going to open that up. We have that timestamp there. And we have today's stochastic fiction outline. The stochastic fiction outline is some story elements that will be used and were randomly generated to create a story within this time. That story can either be the beginning chapter, or the middle chapter, or the end chapter of a book, or a flash fiction story. Looks like today's format is flash fiction, but let's go ahead and read all the story elements for today's stochastic fiction game. Those story elements are setting time present, setting main location, amusement park, conflict person versus destiny, quantity of primary characters 1, point of view second, tense past tense, genre sports, format flash fiction. Those are the story elements for today's stochastic fiction game. We will rate this as well and read it at the end once it's been written. And those are the ratings right there, 1 to 4. Now on the story, an amusement park. I've been to amusement parks, so at least I can pull from my nonfiction experience, as I remember it at least, and put it into a fiction story. We have present, so we won't go into time traveling or write this story back when I was last at an amusement park, which would be in the past, the distant past. We have to write in the conflict person versus destiny. Well, there's always lots going on in an amusement park, and destiny, well, we'll get back to that. So quantity of primary characters 1, so there ain't going to be like a pair of protagonists going through this story. We got to just focus on one protagonist, but there could be, of course, antagonists or just scenery that comes along the way. Point of view second, we got to go with the U. And tense past tense, I got to remember that. I have a tendency to write in the present tense perfect. So let's try to make this a narrative that isn't too poor in the second person. Genre sports. Okay, well, I didn't read that when I skipped down to the end to say format flash fiction, which we already knew that because I read it out loud. So I got to write some flash fiction story, the genre of sports, an amusement park. That's a little bit helpful, actually. Then person versus destiny. I mean, already coming to mind, if we're thinking sports is the format, then it's going to have to be some sort of game you'd play at the amusement park, like the pitching for milk cans, or the pitching speed, or some bowling apparatus, shooting. Okay, let's go with that. But person versus destiny is a little bit, are they just destined to be the best? I don't know. Like, destiny's kind of like a person versus nature, then be a little more difficult. Person versus society, well, then you just have some awkward story and thrown in sports. Person versus destiny, maybe they feel they're destined to go off and play. And there's also the basketball shooting game. Even back in the day, if I remember right, they had like a cage with a basketball hoop at a 3-point line and a foul line, and you could still try to shoot baskets to win prizes. It wasn't as sophisticated as those small little automatic machines where you have those almost palm-sized balls that you can toss into the hoop. I'm thinking that type of amusement park game right now, but I want to make it something big, something that can be or needs to be an amusement park. It won't be a ride. Person versus destiny in sports. Maybe it could be a ride. Maybe it could be go-karts. They're destined to become a Formula One driver. I don't know much about Formula One. I mean, I've watched it, but as far as all the lingo goes down, and I'd need lots of editing to have it make sense and even sound reasonable. It's not a large part of my nonfiction world. I do follow it. I do like the competition. I do love the fact that I follow the Constructors' Cup more than the driver, just because to me the people that make the machine are a little bit more important than a human that guides it. But let's not go there because I don't know that much about it. I need a sport in an amusement park, basketball. I'm just going back to basketball. You have a hoop. You can make it an actual basketball. Of course, it's modern day. I don't think, well, sure. I mean, you get the right crowd. Just people think they're really good. But what's the destiny? I'm destined to shoot basketball hoops at an amusement park? That's kind of lame. Destiny. Well, we got to write a story eventually. And since it's going to be flash fiction, I want to be able to at least define all the attributes of the conflict within the first paragraph. I want to put them in the sport that they're doing. I mean, we're talking destiny here. I'm destined to make shots out of a basketball hoop. I'm destined for greatness. Now, I'm destined to win. Maybe that's it. It's sports, though. It's not romance. Maybe it could be some new genre, like romantasy would be sportacy. Romance sport, where they're really terrible at basketball. They want to prove that it's destiny. You can make it a comedy. It's focused around sports, but it's not. I mean, it's in an amusement park, too, so that constraint exists. If it was just someplace else, then fine. But the story needs to be an amusement park. And there's really one character, so I can't have it be about a romance. Maybe it's that one character standing on the free throw line and they really suck. And they, test themselves off the game. One character, maybe the girlfriend went to go use the restroom and they're just not in the scene, so they're technically just the background. Or maybe it's the boyfriend. I don't have a dice near, so I'll just use mine. I'm not that great at romance or lovey-dovey stuff, but I can still do it if I'm in a more nonfiction mood. So I'll probably just genderize the person shooting the basketball to be male, heterosexual. Make that easy on me at least, so I can have this sports in an amusement park. Do they have the ring? Are they proposing? Or are they just it's got to be a big life decision here. A little bit more than I want to go steady with somebody. And age-wise, I'll probably put this person about maybe early 20s. Because I feel like maybe that was actually the last time that I ever went to an amusement park for my own fun, and not because some spawn I took there to experience an amusement park. So let's go around 20s. This is going to be a life decision. This is going to be marriage. Are they going to propose? And they got cold feet. I realize in the present day, though, I don't know if, some places people still get married young. I don't live in those places right now. I grew up in those places. Basically, when you're 18 to 20, you're getting married. I did not, but there were plenty that did. Maybe that type of society does exist someplace. Just because it doesn't exist around me doesn't mean it can't happen, so let's fictionalize with that. They're in their 20s. Early 20s. I guess start with the basketball maybe. If I could do it, well, this is second person, so I can't do like omniscient narrator. But that doesn't mean like even in the second person. Why am I writing here? Come on, words. There we go. Second person. I've done this. I don't know if I want to open up this way, but it's a really easy way you do it because most of the amusement park games or rides have an introduction that begins like anytime you play. There's either a sign or someone has the rule set as well as the legal liability to tell you all the safety rules as something they say before you board the ride. In real life, they do these things. So it's not so hard to expect or fictionalize because you don't need to, that someone would just, you could explain it through the narrative of the game master or the ride controller. I've done this before and I'm going to do it again just to make it easy. So we're going to have the dialogue in which the person who's running this basketball game will tell the person that's trying to make hoops to determine whether they're going to propose to their girlfriend at the amusement park they both love. They're both in their early 20s. At least that's the story so far, and maybe that story won't become anything. We'll see. Yeah. Now I just got to think and imagine, fictionalize that. How do I explain this? Chat of fates of free throw fates. I think is what they'll do. I can't remember. Usually, I can't remember. I never did during my day play a basketball game that I seen at an amusement park where you shot a real big basketball and somehow scored points. I can't fictionalize on that very well, so I'll just make that up. I seen the game. I seen people play it. I just never played it myself, therefore I don't know like the rules. I don't want to call this person the game master. Chad. Bounces the basketball. Test your skill and your fate. Earn a destiny. At money, at 1,000. What are you gonna win? What if you do this? So I'm just working the game out, making up this game for instead of amusement park based upon a sport. You have to make a layup, free throw, three-pointer, and if you make all of those, then you get a free, you get to do a blind folded shot on the three-pointer line, and if you make that, you win $100. I think it was be $100. That's the game I got getting created in my mind right now to sort of fulfill the sporting aspect of this, for this being an amusement park, and the destiny. Now, the destiny, the person's going to test their fate, and they're going to internally bet themselves that if they win the blind shot, maybe they need money for the ring, and maybe that's what they're debating, but I think they're going to decide whether they're going to propose to their girlfriend. And I did not roll for gender today because I just, fiction. I need close to nonfiction today, so it's just going to be a heterosexual male that's young, 20s, but I've been that age, so it's easy for me to fictionalize it. Easier. Not necessarily easy, especially if it's supposed to be what time? Present day? Yeah, different world. Chad bounced the basketball to you saying, and it's got to be second person. Test your skills. This is going to be test your skill and learn and earn and win a chance. $100. Okay. So Chad bounces the basketball to you saying, test your skill. Step on the line. We got a command. Step on the line. You're trying to sell this game. You got to make them come into the field. And layup, and free throw, and 3-point shot to win a chance. It's got to be quick too. Like, you got to sell this game. I did know someone that worked at an amusement park called Lagoon, and he did a shooter game. It's, there was a rigged system. I won, even though I didn't shoot that well. So step on the layup and the free throw, then the 3-point shot to win the chance. I'm saying they're all rigged, but if you know how. The free throw, then the 3-point shot to win a chance at $100. At the $100 shot. I don't know. I would probably not be a good seller of this game right now. Step on up and lay up. Then layup, free throw, and 3-point. It's your fate. Okay, that is just a very narrow scope. No one's going to know this is on an amusement park. For all they know, they could be out some sort of local park. Maybe they're doing basketball practice. This needs to be an amusement park. Let's just make up an amusement park. In the, at the, of the, in. Along. Along the rows, of carnival games of games That's a terrible name, but we'll get back. Blind shot. That'll be the name of the story. Maybe some meaning of just being young and thinking you found the one and you're going to propose to them. Who knows what's going to happen during the future? It's a blind shot. But this is a basketball game. So Cody of the blind shot game. Let's make sure it's a game. Bounce pass the basketball to you, saying step on in, a layup, free throw, then 3-point to win a blind. Okay, so that's what. To win a blind shot at $100. You'd more catch it than grab it. You catch the basketball. Now we need to build up conflict. Why are we even going to do this? Along the rows of games to knock over the metal milk. Let's just start with this. Rolo, spin. I don't know what the hell. Let's see if we read this sentence aloud to see if it reads. In the Haggard Amusement Park, between the go-karts and roller spin and along the rows of games to knock over metal milk bottles and shoot a bullseye to inflate a balloon until it pops, shouts of winter and sirens of loose talk amongst the laughter and chatting. People at night in the let's do that. Night. Colorful light bulbs. Cody of the blind shot game bounce passes the basketball to you, saying, "Step on in, lay up, free throw, then 3-point shot. The blind shot at $100. Choose your fate. It's your fate. Fate. You catch the basketball and think of fate. You catch the basketball and think of fate and your marriage proposal to Glenda. No. No. Your sweetheart you met 2 years ago. You lived in an uptown apartment. Um, what was her name again? Glenda? I think so. Glenda. Glenda's the one that you are proposing to. There's nowhere to be seen. Oh, they're still in the restroom. $5. Just take a shot at fate. Steps back against the fence. Points to a line on the ground under the hoop. The layup. I think I want that. There we go. You step to the line and bounce the ball. Do they miss right here? I think that'd be fun. You step the line and bounce the ball to the ground, feeling. Let's do some. Dribbling between thoughts about the shot, thoughts about I forget Glenda. What's her name? Glenda. Still Glenda. All right, I think something's being written. I think it might be done sooner rather than later. Nice shot, says Chad. He claps and points to the free throw line. Now, make a free throw. And you don't need a closure. Nice shot, says Chad. He claps and points. He claps and points to the free throw line to make free throws. I don't know. Should they have their eyes closed? I want to think about this part of the story here. What does that say? That they open their eyes, they finally open their eyes and make the shot and they miss. I don't know if that's the story, but I think it's written. Does that really even make sense? That's why I'm curious. I got a little bit of time, but I want to at least critique what I've done here. I don't know if I've captured any sort of inner depth or any meaning other than a slight comedy with sports, shooting a basketball. More gamifying a thing, but it's still a sport. You're still trying to make sports equipment do a thing to score something. I got it. I got it. Make this. Bend your arm and release. You think, shoot, it misses. Or maybe they make it. I mean, this is the end. I'm not writing any more on this. But I gotta have the ending mean a thing. So they make it when they're doing the blind shot the entire time, like they're gonna propose. If they don't miss, they're gonna propose. They'll probably propose anyway, but it hints at it. I want the shot to mean a thing more than just the resolution of what the conflict is set up to be. Let's call out. Either they make it, they miss. I think I got it. I think I'm gonna have them miss the final shot. If they make the shot and they look, they open their eyes, I think I have it this way. I want to remove this sentence here. So he walks into the crowd clapping and pointing at you, saying, because he closed his eyes. Let's do that. Let's still make the shot. Let's have it be joyful. There's nothing wrong with a little joy in life. He walks into the crowd clapping and points, saying, for the $100. She's going to make him open his eyes. Still going to make the shot. But it means they won't get the $100. A few people stand and watch. Kid yanks on his dad's hands and points. You stand at the 3-point line and look at the hoop. You close your eyes and clear your mind. You lift the ball. Make this as make an ask. You bend your arm and hear Brenda say, "Don't miss." You open your eyes and turn your head to Brenda as you shoot. It's a swish. Nice shot, but you opened your eyes. Add more of a romance, but hey, it is what it is. Still a blind shot. Let's be done with it. It was a flash fiction story. At least I got some sort of setup and resolution. I'm going to read this story aloud. For today's stochastic fiction game, with these story elements of setting, time, present, setting main location amusement park, conflict person versus destiny, quantity of primary characters 1, point of view second, tense past tense, shit, I don't have a past tense, genre, sports, flash fiction. Oh man, my always need to write it in perfect present as like some default. The hell with it. You caught the basketball. Man, this is terrible. And thought of fate. Yeah, maybe it looks better in the past tense. Who knows? And your sweat heart. I don't want a sweat heart. I want my sweetheart. You met 2 years ago at your 21st birthday and lived in with. Lived with in an uptown apartment. I guess it just ended between the blah 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 blah. The roller spinning along the rows of games to knock over metal milk bottles, brothels bottles, and shoot a bullseye to inflate a balloon until it pops. Shouts of winter and sirens of loose talk amongst the laughter and chatting of people at night. Laugh. Sing with the talk. The laughter and chatting of the night. Of the people at night in glows of colorful bulbs. Cody of the blind spot game bounces a ball. It's Cody. Cody of the I thought it was Chad. I changed this person's name to Chad. And you're not Cody. Yeah. Maybe let's do this. Man, names. I do use Chad a lot. That's why I was trying to use something different. Use C's. Maybe it's just because it's that letter. Man, I should have just renamed Cody to Chad. Stupid past tense. Holy cow. I love my present perfect. I will someday, yes, marry it. You stood, you stand, you stood, you thought, you think. I wonder if I can read over all these. Imagine watched. You inked on his dad's hand. You stood in 3-point line and looked at the hoop. You closed your eyes and cleared your mind. You lifted the ball. You bent your arm and heard. Vinda say. Cody said. You stepped on the 3-foot line and shot. You heard. Past tense, these things. I think I got enough to where I could probably read over all the present tense mistakes because it doesn't fit within the stochastic fiction game outline. Walked. That's crazy. But I suppose I'm catching a lot of other mistakes too. Said to the passing crowd. He nodded at the people. Who nodded back. You thought. Felt. All right, let's read this aloud. I'll try to read over the fact that this should be past tense, but you got enough. I'm going to read this aloud just for time. Okay. Well, that's going to bother me. Caught. You wanted to be like you wanted to be with her. Yeah, I mean, this is not terribly exciting. Could we step back? Yeah, this is exciting. That rose as high as... He clapped and pointed. Man, this is all just because I didn't know what tense. He thought, close your eyes. He clapped loud. He nodded. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this aloud and just be done. Get some water. I've already read the story elements. I'm not going to read them again. What I will do is read the story aloud called Blind Spot. Blind Spot. In the haggard amusement park between the go-karts and the Rolo spin and along the rows of games to knock over metal milk bottles and shoot a bullseye to inflate a balloon until it pops, Shouts of winner and sirens of loser sing with the laughter and chanting of people at night in glows of colorful light bulbs. Cody of the blind spot game bounced past the basketball to you, saying, "Step on in and lay up. Free throw, then 3-point shot to a blind shot for $100. It's your fate." You caught the basketball and thought of fate of your marriage proposal to Glenda, your sweetheart you met 2 years ago at your 21st birthday and have lived with in an uptown apartment near the metro for the past 6 months. Even after the first argument, you still wanted to be with her forever. You wanted to be with her forever, so you bought her this ring for $100 because you both talked about how stupid engagement rings were, and with diamonds even more stupid. And the ring you have was a good deal, and it had a birthstone in it. It was in your pocket. And you're about to have lunch at the place you went on a date after first having sex because she wanted to race go-karts. Glenda was in the restroom and you held the ball. Cody said, $5 to take a shot of fate, a blind shot. You mumbled a blind shot, feeling the connection between the chance of winning the shot and the chance of her saying yes to the marriage proposal because you were certain it would be forever and deep down knew it. You pulled a crumpled $5 bill from your pocket and flattened it and folded it in half. Fate. Cody stepped back against the chain link fence that rose as high as the 10-foot tall basketball hoop. He pointed to a line on the ground under the hoop. Make a layup. You stepped to the line and bounced the ball to the ground and dribbled between thoughts about the shot and the thought about Glenda and marriage and living together and buying a house and maybe having kids because they talked about it and you all won and knew and then know that she's the one if you win. Horrible sentence. You closed your eyes and shot the layup. Nice shot, said Cody. You clapped and pointed to the free throw line. Now make free throw. And you don't need to close your eyes yet. You thought, make this will ask. You closed eyes, blocking out the glowing bulbs of colorful light. You felt the push of the ball into the air at the hoop. Swish, says Cody. He clapped loud and said to the passing crowd, we got a swish. He nodded at the people who nodded back. Now for the three-pointer and a chance to win $100, said Cody to more than the people passing than you. You stepped to the free throw line and closed your eyes. Make this ask. And shot. You heard the ball hit the rim twice and Cody shouted, he made it! And with his eyes closed, he walked into the crowd clapping and pointing at you, saying, now for the $100 shot with his eyes closed. A few people stood and watched. A kid yanked on his dad's hand and pointed. You stood at the three-point line and looked at the hoop. You closed your eyes and cleared your mind. You lifted the ball. Make it ask. You bent your arm and heard Brenda say, don't miss. You opened your eyes, turned your head to Brenda as you shot. It's a swish. Cody said, nice shot, but you opened your eyes. That was the Stochastic Fiction game for today. And I'm going to rate it a 3. It could become a good story. It may not be. I'll let fate and maybe blind certainty guide that story into existence or just leave it where it's at. Until the next time, until the next game, remember to write, remember to be.